Hi again. Let me start the presentation. Okay. Well, last time, the video ended a little bit abruptly because 15 minutes mark was reached. But anyway, we have defined how the current economic system could be defined, looking at these different aspects of the current economic system. But the main point is, in the textbook definition, which is basically the mainstream definition, the idea that uncoordinated decisions are basically lead to the efficient allocation of resources through the market mechanism, by the way. That's the main thing. That's the specific aspect, according to mainstream economics, of current economic system. So that's how the definition comes from. So in current economic system, according to mainstream economics, is a system where the market is as an institution where buyers and sellers come together to trade different things, resources and semi-products and products, semi-finished products and products, are actually determining how the economic system will run. So, what is a market? Well, here we should be careful a little bit. Typically, market is, in everyday language, taught as a physical space where people meet together to buy. Buyers and sellers are physically at the same place. If you live in Güzelyurt, there's a farmers market in Güzelyurt every Saturday, although I don't know whether after COVID this is still the market is still there, but I'm sure it will come back after the COVID-19 crisis. But here, when we are talking about the market, we are talking kind of a virtual space that contains all buyers and sellers of a specific product. When we are talking about the car market, for example, market for automobiles or market for food, for example, we are talking about every buyer and seller and intermediate agencies that are taking place in purchase and sell of the food or automobiles, basically. So here we are kind of thinking about the virtual space, and when the economists are talking about on the market, that basically means that the whole economic system, the whole economic system where sale and purchase of everything is basically going on. So that's one thing. So when a market is taught, it's not. It's a virtual space in economics. So what is the difference between economy and economics? Economy is a system where basically the resources are transformed into the needs and wants and distributed. And economics is the science that studies this system. So that's the difference. Economy is the actual system, and economics is a science that studies the system. In Turkish, economy and iktisat are two words. Sometimes iktisat is used as a science more, economy is used as a systems more, because mostly the analysis of the economy comes from the United States and English resources. We know the system as our economic system in Turkey, not as the iktisat sistemi, Turkey iktisat sistemi. However, both words are basically can be used in Turkish in both ways. I mean, as name of the science and name of the system. Anyway, economics does not most interested in the market system, is not interested that much on other possible system. So, and here I am giving example of the Marxian economics, which is one of the radical and usually most radical wing of them, is ideological sphere in the economics as a science, and still it is interested in how capitalist economic system works mostly. There are some analysis, some work done on other economic system, but the central works, most important works in economics academia, including the works of the famous Marxian scholars, are describing the capitalist economic system, not the alternative of the capitalist economic system, or let's say market economy, not alternatives of the market economy. Okay, so there are different in economics. There are some schools and there are some fields. Schools are usually organized academicians, so kind of based on a tradition of studying economy. Two major schools are Neoclassical School and New Keynesian School. Very roughly, again, this definition is very rough. Neoclassical School consists of the economists who are believing market economy in most instances, not all, but most instances, produced most efficient and best results. So, for the society. How the most efficient and best is described is also a question we might ask. But we might ask in general, it creates, I mean, in very, very general sense, we might say it creates greatest growth rates and development, and it also creates highest living standard possible for most people in a sustainable way, at least. It may create some inequality, but that inequality might be healthy for the economic system. And in neoclassical economics, usually you have systems with equilibrium points. So economic system doesn't create distortion by itself, but some distortions are created, and economic system always bring the system back to the equilibrium point, where the system runs in most efficient way in most cases, not all cases, but most cases. New Keynesian economics, on the other hand, mostly again, I mean, in all areas, there are some economists that are, there are some neoclassicals that are thinking like New Keynesians, for example, or vice versa. There are some economists who are in the border, basically. But New Keynesians mostly, again, think that the economic system in the long run runs in most efficient way, the way I have described it. And again, that definition was also a rough definition. But in the it might not bring the economic system to that best point fast enough. So some regulationary measures, some institutions, some intermediate agencies might speed up the process of the internal processes of the economic system in uncoordinated manner when there is no institution in the economic system. There are some processes that are still running in an uncoordinated manner, but some institutions and some regulations might make the economy system go back to this most efficient point in a faster way. Again, this is a very rough. I mean, this is not exact. Again, not all New Keynesians necessarily think this way. Some New Keynesians are thinking more like post-Keynesians, for example, which I will mention in a minute. But most New Keynesians are considered, kind of studying again equilibrium points, but short-run equilibrium points and long-run equilibrium points. I mean, which show that in the short-run economy, in the long run, the economy returns to the most efficient point, but in the short run, the point economy returns might not be that efficient, and how regulations might actually push economy back to the most efficient point faster. Post-Keynesians, on the other hand, think that the economic system might actually bring the society, the society, or I mean itself, to an inferior point. For example, certain countries that are not developed might end up being forever being underdeveloped, or economic system might create regular crisis, which might decrease living standards significantly. Economic system might not create, for example, a high level of growth if it is not regulated. So the economic system is, when it's working by itself, might not end up in the most efficient point. In many cases, it might end up in the inferior point. But with some regulations and institutions, basically, you might bring economic system to a more efficient point. Basically, again, this is a rough definition. Sometimes new institutionalists today are also a group called new institutionalists are also told. They are also supporting the similar idea, as I have mentioned in a minute. And post-Keynesians basically their models consist mostly on systems with double equilibrium point. The system can converge to one equilibrium point or the other equilibrium point. Both are possible, but with regulation, you might make sure that or some institutions, you might make sure that the economy will pass to the more efficient equilibrium point. And you have cycles, which shows how economic system regularly goes regularly. First has a very high production level, but then enters into a depression and have a sometimes years-long depression, from which by itself it will take a long time to go out, and then it enters again to the depression. And you can show how these basic cycles get smaller. Depressions become less severe if you have some regulations. Marxist school, on the other hand, basically based on the idea that economic system, capitalist economic system under its beginning historical conditions was able to create progress and high increase in production. So it was a progressive system, but as time goes on, it increasingly will have severe problems, and those problems will become severer and severer. And even with regulations or institutions, you cannot solve these problems. In the end, you need to create a new economic system, basically. In Marxist, that's my definition. There is no one except me who makes this definition, as far as I know at least. But I can mention some fundamentalist Marxists who think actually even discussing those institutions, the regimes of these institutions or potential efficiency those institutions can create in the short run is not that much worthy. Rather, you should basically describe how even the most trusted institutions are not necessarily will in the end also won't prevent the stability, instability of the system, or the trends of the capitalist system, which will in the end will create make the problems more severe. Alternatively, there are some Marxists who think that discussion is worth. The short-run stability some institutions and regulations might create is a worthy discussions, although we should basically mention limits of these institutions. So we should not just create the impression that any institution or any regulation will create a stable economic system forever. And Marx is mostly interested in trends in the economic system, how economic system is forever going, not where it is always returning, or the cyclical motions. Although, of course, here I have mentioned what they are, how their central models look like. All schools are making use of equilibrium points or cycles or trends, basically. Anyway, is the end of this section of the video. Let's see in the next section.